Here we go. Hi, Shannon. Thank you for your time and thank you for granting us this opportunity to talk to you and sharing your experience with AMTV. I'm sure you're very excited to talk to all the audience of AMTV and so sharing your story. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Not too much.
My name's Shanon Chong. I spend a lot of time writing. I don't do much else. I play video games with my friends, and I really enjoy volleyball.
Volleyball and video games. Great, great. Okay. So let me just start with an unconventional question, right? Is there anything that people do not know about you that you can share with us? Something that you
Uh,
do, that it will be interesting.
Sometimes a little bit of baking and a little bit of cooking.
A little bit
Sometimes when
of
I feel like
baking,
it.
cooking. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, that's absolutely something that is absolutely unconventional for a 15-year-old. It's good. It's good. So what sort of video games do you play?
I play League of Legends with my friends.
League of Legends. Yeah, I've heard of that game. It's arcade based. Yeah, very good. Okay, coming back to the main topic, Shannon. I
Yeah.
understand that you have been writing for a while. I've checked out your site.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you have now come up with a book on your
Yeah.
own. It's published and it's titled. If I pronounce it wrongly, please correct me. It's called Theodore Chrono.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Theodore Chrono and the Sanctuary of Evil. Yeah.
okay, okay. Sanctuary of Evil. So could you share with us what this book is about how you came about with the idea, how did you go about to even start to plan your time to write it? I'm sure it's a very arduous task to write a book at your age, being able to
Um.
juggle between your studies and everything like that. Yeah, and see it from the beginning until it now comes to a full-fledged published material.
Yeah. Well, in reality, it took like 2 years before the book actually became something that I could write. Because I'd written the idea like 2 years ago, like when I was in like year 7 or year 8, when I was like 12 or 13,
Mm,
something along the lines of that. And then I came back to it a few years later, and I thought, okay, why not? Why don't I write this? Because my mom was just like, don't use the Wi-Fi for 3 hours. And I was just like, okay, I'll write for 3 hours then. Uh, and then words just started flowing and it came out.
mm, mm. So how does that, I mean, transpire from writing and then the progress to actually approach a publisher? I'm sure that requires a lot of work at your end.
Um, well, the book is actually self-published, which is like quite handy so that I don't have to worry about all the publisher's cuts and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it just leaves me a lot more creative liberty and
Mm-hmm.
choice, really.
So I mean, excuse me, I'm not an author. So what do you mean by self-published?
We're just like distributing it on like Amazon Kindle,
Mm,
Apple Book, iBooks, and Google Play.
mm, mm,
So we're just like putting it on the sites ourselves instead of having external publisher
mm,
publish it for us on those sites and then get it printed.
mm, mm, mm. There's a paperback copy as well? Is that true?
Yeah. Well, it's coming to that eventually, but
Mm.
with all of the things that have been happening, it's kind of being delayed a little.
Mm, mm, mm. So is there anything about the book that you can share with potential readers, obviously, that might be
Um,
considering to buy your book? What is it about? What is that inspiration behind that book? What is that little thing that comes from you that would be really attractive to the readers out there?
yeah, of course. Well, the book's about like a 15-year-old called Theodore Chrono. He's a young, brash, courageous kid,
Mm-hmm.
essentially. It's central around how he wants to get out of the shadow of his father and how he's constantly feeling abandoned and like uh mm, how do I say it? He's somewhat just, well, rather than sad, he's just, I don't actually know how to explain that, but he's just a character which I like
Mm,
feel with rather than, he isn't very complicated. He doesn't have some elaborate backstory. He's just a person who
mm,
happens to want to do things.
Mm, mm, mm.
He doesn't
Okay.
have any grand ambition. He doesn't have any super big dreams. He just wants to live in a world of magic and just live on his life.
Mm, mm. So what sort of readers would you think that would be very interested in the book? Uh,
Very interested, like younger audiences, like from anywhere from like her teenage years to like young adults.
mm-hmm.
However, I'm not sure if my writing ability is to their standard.
Well, you should have confidence in yourself. You never know, right? Maybe it's gonna go out into like a sellout. So, I mean, moving on from Theodore Chrono, do you see
Yeah.
yourself writing more? Is this like the first book of a potential trilogy
Yeah,
or
it's the first book of
series?
six. It's the
Oh,
first book of
okay,
six. I've
okay.
already written the second one and I'm currently working on the third.
I see, I see. Would you share with us? I mean, if you is this plan to write six book right from the beginning? And how do you actually segregate the book into six series? Do you what sort of planning and what sort of thinking behind that needs to be done in order for you to plan and split the plot and the story into six series?
Well, I don't really think about like how it's segregated per se because
Mm-hmm.
it somewhat just comes to like being as I write instead of planning ahead because I
Mm,
just write and then it just
mm,
works.
mm,
And well, I chose six books because I wanted to match Harry Potter, but then in a conversation with my friend a few like months after I decided that,
mm.
I was sorely reminded that Harry Potter does have seven books.
Well, I think initially it was six. I think they expanded to seven. I mean, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
No, I think it's just seven, like
Oh,
straight up,
okay.
which
Well,
is
you
just unfortunate.
well you can always add another one as you move along.
uh,
So this
I'll be
friend that
sure to
you
write more.
this friend that you spoke to, I mean, is this someone that you always discuss with in your writing journey, or is there any particular group of friends that you discuss, or when you write,
Oh,
you're just gonna lock yourself in the door and get on with it?
like well, I have some friends which like I talk about my writing with, but most of the time I spend my writing alone since I just have a better headspace by myself.
Mm, mm. So do you just lock yourself in a room and put a do not disturb at your door
I just
and
put on my
spend,
headphones, blast music, and then just start writing.
or you blast music and then start writing? You can do that.
Well, yeah, I just let it consume me.
Ah,
It's
okay,
kind of like a silent room, but just
okay,
music.
okay. That's
It fades into the background.
That's very unique. Yeah. So you feel that having that music in the background helps you with the idea flowing in your head.
Uh, Sometimes I feel like I'm getting into a rhythm, and
Hmm.
yeah, it just works.
Okay. Okay. Coming back to being a writer, is there something that you want to do moving forward, or is this going to be a hobby that you are exploring and see what
I'm
comes of it?
actually I've pretty much set my life in stone by going into writing
Mm,
because when it comes to school, I've kind of not taken a single math subject, so
mm.
I'll basically be investing myself into humanities and continuing to write and go into more creative fields going forward.
No, investing yourself in humanities. Could you elaborate more on that and tell us? That I'm very interested in that term.
I'm taking like politics,
Mm,
two Englishes, visual design subject, along with
mm,
psychology, and what's the last one? I was planning on taking history, however,
mm,
I didn't have enough subjects, sadly.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, interesting, interesting. So you have actually s- you're very sure what you want to do at a very young age already.
Yeah.
That is indeed very rare, and it's a very good thing to have because many people go through their lives not knowing what they want to do. So, what is your plan
Uh,
for the next, say, because obviously you're 15 now. If I
yeah.
say the next 5 years when you reach the 20, when you enter into the early adulthood, what is your plan? Do you have a
Um,
plan about writing that you can share
uh,
with us?
well, I hope to have at least like I'll hope to have gotten near to the end of Theodore Chrono, and I should be able to finish it up by when I'm 21 or
Mm,
around that age.
mm,
I should have published several other books because I'm still writing lots of other things.
mm,
And well, I should be in uni. I
mm.
hope I'm in uni. I don't know if I'll be in uni, but we'll
Okay,
see.
okay. So what are other things that you're writing? You say you're writing other things apart from Kyoto Chrono.
Yeah. Well, I've planned on expanding the universe of that specific book wider to cover more geopolitical aspects of the world.
Mm, mm,
And then I've also decided to write a few romance stories and other stuff like that.
okay, okay. So when you say geopolitical aspects of the world and bringing the element into your books, so what is your view about the geopolitical aspects of the world?
Well, I just want to cover all the other countries and just not give like a biased one-sided view from any
Mm,
character, since it seems like with current media these days,
mm,
like bias seems to be one of the biggest things, and I want to create a story where bias isn't something which people see.
very good, very good. So the first book then, coming back to the first book, is it got a a linkage of a Australian element or Australian flavor in it? And then as you
Um,
go on, you expand that borders to covers more
it's
places.
got more of a European and Asian feel rather than Australian.
All right. Why did you choose European and Asian? Any reasons behind it?
Well, because the Europeans are very famous for their medieval era and like how that feels perfect with fantasy and the
Mm,
elements which go around.
mm,
And well, the Asian aspects are just the way I'm telling the story. It's just
mm,
I've been raised on Asian storytelling. I've read Chinese novels,
okay.
Japanese media, Korean
Mm,
media.
mm. Okay. So then, do you do any research at your end on the European side of things in order for you
No, not
to
really.
know? So it's completely just fantasy. Okay, okay.
Yeah, it's just whatever comes from my head.
Ah, okay, okay. So you said that you also read some other things. So what sort of books do you read? What sort of books a young author reads apart from his writing days?
well, when I was younger, I used to read a little bit more, but in terms of like actual novels which I've read, like Harry Potter was one of the first,
Mm,
and then I tried reading Lord of the Rings and like A Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but both of them I kind of fell asleep while reading them both. So I was a
mhm,
little young back then. Maybe I'll try reading them during these trying times, and maybe
mm.
I'll enjoy it more this time.
Okay, okay. Then why don't I ask you this a little bit technical questions? If I were to ask, how different is your book compared to Harry Potter? What would be your answer?
In terms of Harry Potter, it's like it's not the same because well, it's not like entirely similar. However, there are like crossing aspects which may be deemed similar. It's
Mm-hmm.
like there's a school of magic which is
Mm,
quite a done theme in fantasy,
mm,
and I just felt like it just seemed like a comfortable setting which I could work with rather than
mm-hmm,
something which
mm-hmm.
was going to be completely out of my comfort zone.
Right, right. Okay, okay. So if fantasy is your comfort zone, do you see yourself branching into something entirely different from fantasy for later, or it's too early to tell?
I definitely see myself branching out because it's not fun constraining myself to one genre or theme.
Mm-hmm. Any idea what you could potentially branch out to?
Sci-fi maybe. I don't know because I like writing about people and what they experience rather than
Mm, mm.
because the individual is part of the story, and I want to make people feel like they can be part of the world.
That's good. That's good. Okay. So, okay. How about, if there's any aspiring young author out there, what sort of messages do you have for them apart from playing
Um,
League of Legends a couple of hours a day, which is very
um,
important?
I for it would just be read, like absorb as much as you can, and then just write, because writing is like it's all about the practice at this point. And well,
Mm,
if you don't start practicing early, you're gonna start running out of time
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
because well, it's not great when you're a little bit older and you have to actually live a life which isn't underneath your parents' roof.
Right, right. Okay, okay. And because I think I recall you mentioned you also take on a couple of languages. Do you see yourself writing other languages? Or you gonna
Definitely not.
definitely not. Okay. Why is that?
I'm just not confident enough in other languages.
Mm, mm, okay. So you're just gonna
I
stick
think it would
to
be
English.
interesting working in their industries and going to the
Mm,
countries and
mm,
writing in English for them.
mm,
However, definitely not writing in their home language.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So how does your family react to this? Have they been very supportive or
Yeah, my
yeah?
family's been supportive from the start usually.
Mm-hmm,
Since I mean, I think it is an achievement, I guess, to a certain degree.
mm-hmm,
And they've been really supportive throughout, and I've been happy about that since I can just pursue what I want to do rather than slave away at school and not feel the thrill and the rush of
mm.
writing.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Great. Well, thank you for your time, Shannon, and I wish you the very best success in your writing career. I hope you'll
Thank
be
you for
able
offering
to,
me the opportunity.
sure, sure, and I wish that you'll be able to complete your seven book in this series and branch out into more exciting things.
Yep. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you, and
Thank you
I
for the
hope to see you again
opportunity.
soon.
It was
Goodbye.
nice talking to you.
Oh,
Thank you.
my
Bye.
pleasure's all mine. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
All right.